Dear students, hello. Thank you for choosing this video. And today we are going to speak about model 5 forces created by Michael Porter. This instrument of strategic management is rather big. That is why in this very lecture we are speaking only about a part of this instrument. Uh, Generally, it is quite obvious for you. It must be quite obvious for you, I hope, after attending my previous lectures or watching previous videos. It must be quite obvious that it is possible to create a winning strategy only after conducting the analysis of external environment. And today we will speak how to analyze competitive forces within your industry. And we will do it with with the help of very interesting and very useful instrument created by Michael Porter, model of 5 forces of competition. Here are, at this very screen, you will see the picture in the right angle. Don't be afraid, it is a little bit small, but on the next screen it will be bigger. Sorry. The idea of Michael Porter was the following. Then we are analyzing competitiveness in the industry. We have to analyze not only the firms which produce the same products with you, or same services, certainly, but we have to analyze 4 more forces. These forces are influence from our buyers, influence from the firms which are supplying us with raw materials, pressure from the firms which want to enter our industry, and pressure from the firms which are producing the substitute products. Generally, at the very beginning, I'd like you to understand why it is crucial, why it is so important to analyze not only the firms which are producing the same products with you, but something else. For example, you are thirsty, and you want to buy, I don't know, a bottle of mineral water. But you know that the same need could be satisfied by other products, by some beverages, by beers, some kind of beers, by I don't know, by eating some fruits, by eating ice cream. That's why we have to analyze, if we are analyzing the environment of the firm which produces mineral water, we have to analyze not only the firms which are producing the same product, but more firms. And here is only one example about substitute products, and we will speak about all this stuff within this lecture and within the next one. And I'd like to add some general words about this very instrument, that the instrument is rather easy to use, and what is much more important, that the instrument is quite obvious. From this instrument, it is quite clear, even for somebody who is not a specialist in strategic management, the level of competition in the industry. That is why this instrument, model of five forces, is very popular within everybody, I would say. Here is the general screen of these models. So the main force within the industry is competition among firms which are producing the same products or services with you. It is the center of the picture. It is the most important force, but we have to analyze four more forces. Suppliers from the left. In some cases, suppliers can change our level of our competitiveness, because they, in some cases, it is possible for them to push on us. For example, a firm supplies you with office paper. Let it be like this, and suppliant agent says, okay, you should buy not less than 10 boxes of office paper. In other case, we won't supply you with it. You will say, in this very case, okay, we will buy it in other shop, or we will find another supply, because the product is standard, and there is a lot of possibilities to buy it. There is no deficit of this very product. But in some cases, supplier could say, okay, if you don't meet our requirements, we won't supply you. And you have to follow these rules, because it's not possible for you to buy this product from other supplier. Buyers, the right part of the picture, the same situation. In some cases, a buyer could ask you, okay, if you don't meet my rules or my requirements, I won't buy your product. And if this buyer is like a small, like a final buyer, for example, somebody from us, okay, let it be like me, you will say, you don't want, you don't buy, not a problem, okay. But in some cases, if a buyer is very big and you depend on this very buyer, in this very case, you have to follow these rules. Upper part of the picture, firms in other industries offering substitute products. Generally, it was my first example before this picture. In some cases, people, your customers, can switch to substitute products, and in this very case, these substitute products must be analyzed also as a part of competition within your industry. And the bottom part of the picture, potential new entrants, it means that in some cases somebody can find that your profitability, I mean the profitability in your industry, is bigger, and he or she, in this very case, wants to enter your industry, and it's quite obvious for you that in this very case a level of competition will be increased. Yes, that's why we also have to analyze them. And all these five elements are the elements of model of five forces of competition proposed by Michael Porter. Today we will speak about the central part of the model, about the competition in the industry, and today we also will speak about potential entrance to our industry. Let's begin from the most important part of competition. There is competition among rival firms. The firms which are producing the same products or the same services to your company. In some cases, competition could be even friendly. During the course management too, maybe you remember that I set you an example then one company decided to from automobile market of United States, they wanted to help another firm to prevent launching the new car business from Japanese firms. But in other cases, rivalry could be really cutthroat. In this very case, you really have to create a very strong strategy to win, to overcome your rivals. And you also have to remember that it's not like in static. It must be analyzed in dynamic. So if you are running, I decided to take this picture to show you that if you are running, your enterprise is, for example, growing. It doesn't mean that everybody is just staying and waiting for you. No, they are also trying to create a winning strategy to overcome you. That's why you have to analyze not only the current position of your rivals, but you have to analyze only their future steps. And regardless of the industry, it could be presented some common factors which are similar in any industry. Let's begin. The first, the more competitors you have in the industry, the bigger level of competition. It's because in this very case, if there are a lot of small companies at some market, in this very case, this market is very close to pure competition. And pure competition, maybe you remember what is like normal profit in absolute competition. Do you remember? Maybe somebody remembers. Yes, zero. Next, if some market grows slowly, in this very case, the level of competition in this market is very big. Let's see the first picture at the bottom part of the screen. The market is growing, and the level of this growth is very big. Uh, Generally, everybody wants to increase the profit of company and his or her own profit, like salary, to have bigger salary. It's normal. And if our market is growing, in this very case, we can have this extra profit from the growth of market. And vice versa. Think about the second picture. The market is decreasing, and in this very case, it is rather difficult for us even to save our market share. And in this very case, the competition will be really cutthroat. Next, the competition level of competition increases when strong companies outside the industry merges some companies within your industry. And here is only the first example of such situation. Uh, it was a situation when Philip Morris Company, I think you know this company as a producer of cigarettes. This company decided to merge Müller Brewing Company. Uh, I will speak about it a little bit later, but generally, what they did, they didn't know anything about the market of about the production of beer, so they decided not to change anything uh, in the production cycle, but they knew a lot about marketing, and they used these forces. They changed advertising company of this uh, brewing business. Only two examples. They Miller Brewing, they produced light beer, beer with it was not non-alcohol beer. It was a beer with small alcohol and like lighter calories, smaller quantity of calories, uh, and they discovered that people were a little bit afraid to drink these light beer because they were afraid that people laughed at me, at they, sorry, at they, because at them, because it's like the situation that a person. It's not possible for the person to drink normal beer. That's why he or she decided to drink this like light beer. And the advertising campaign was the following: that our beer is 1/3 lighter than in this very situation. You can drink more beer. You have to like prolong your happiness with drinking our beer. You see, they decided not to change anything in production cycle, but they really changed the how to say the advertising, the putting the image of this product in the mind, in the conscious of their customers. And the second example, very interesting example, also with a company. This company, Miller, they had uh, like very expensive beer, and they spoke about this beer like beer for some special moments. But when we really have a special moment, really special, if it is some, I don't know, anniversary, or I don't know, mm, meeting, we maybe will choose champagne. And they decided also to leave this product, but to change the advertising of this product. So they decided to speak about this product like about the best beer. In any country, there are a lot of rich people who want to buy the most expensive product because uh, they they think about this product, but how about the product with the best quality, yes. And they will drink this beer not for the special moments, but for every day if this beer is really tasty. So here is the example how the company from other industry really changed the level of competition within beer industry by merging of a big enterprise. Um, Rivalry is stronger when customers' cost to switch brands are low. Here is a picture, and this lady is thinking what it is honey, maybe some kinds of honey, whether to choose these or these or these, and she doesn't have to pay more, for example, than in the situation if she used to buy the first type of the honey and she wants to switch to another. Generally, no cost for switching from one product to another product. She will just put the another can to her basket, and that's all. But in some cases, customers have to uh, buy, for example, some new equipment to utilize new product. In this very case, we can say that there are some expenses for switching from one brand to another brand. And if this cost for switching is low, in this very case, the competition becomes higher. Rivalry is stronger when one or more competitors is dissatisfied with their market share. It's quite obvious. Then somebody wants to cut a piece of market from another company, the competition uh, really becomes stronger. In some cases, it's not possible to leave the industry, and firms have to stay in the industry even it's not profitable for them. And in this very case, we can say that level of competition becomes high. And generally, you have to size up the competitive pressure. Generally, there are a lot of rather difficult techniques, but for your course, I propose to take the most easy technique, just to take a scale from 1 to 5 and mm, to put the number as you think competitiveness level is in your company, in your industry. Sorry, one, there is like no competition, you are the only, or maybe you are not the only, but the market is growing and nowadays there are a lot of free space at the market. And 5 is a very tough level of competition. And today we will speak about also the second competitive force within Michael Porter model, the force from potential entries. Generally, a potential entry is a firm which wants to enter your industry. And when somebody wants to enter your industry, this firm can face some problems. And Michael Porter names these problems as barriers to entry. So, barriers to entry is a problem which makes it more difficult to enter this very industry. And when you are describing the force of potential entry, you have to evaluate these barriers. The first, economy of scale. You remember, I hope you remember, you must also describe this part within your previous task when you prepared the industry analysis. So the general meaning of this situation is that bigger is often cheaper. So here is a picture to make it not more obvious. When you are delivering something in big numbers, so it will be cheaper for you. I mean, per one unit. So if there is rather, if there are some very big companies at the market and they have really big economies of scale. And in this very case, it will be very difficult for a small company to enter this market because costs for this company will be much higher compared with the costs of these big companies. Next, in some cases, it's not possible to buy some know-how. It means that some firm want to have some technological advantage and they don't want to sell it. So they could say, okay, you can launch your research and development campaign and you will find the best technology, but we won't sell you this very technology. And in this very case, it's not possible for the entrant or potential entrant to organize the production within the industry. Brand, the next barrier number 3, brand preferences and customer loyalty. In some cases, customers want to support some producer, for example, because of its social responsibility, and in this very case they will buy the products even if the products of the company the price of the products is bigger. The next, resource requirements. It means that to build a factory, to organize a production cycle, usually costs something, yes? And to analyze this barrier, you have to describe this barrier, you have to approximately evaluate how much does it cost to run your business, to organize the business, which uh, maybe it's a mistake to say the business of your company, because your company could be rather big. So how much does it cost to organize business within your industry? Let's say it like this. Uh, in some cases, barrier could be some costs, some disadvantages independent of size. Uh, in previous lecture, I told you that a couple of years ago there was a problem with cocoa beans, and it's not possible for some firms to buy cocoa beans and to produce chocolates. And only if some firms had some long contracts with suppliers, that firms could survive from this situation. Access to distribution channel. It could be the situation that it's possible to produce a product, but it's not possible to sell it. And one well-known company, Kodak Films, they faced this situation. They produced a cheap film for photo cameras. Maybe you know that some years ago, maybe not years, but some dozens years ago, we use not digital cameras but films, cameras with films, and they tried to sell it through supermarkets, but it wasn't possible, because supermarkets they had their own cheap films, and Kodak uh, could sell the normal like Kodak and Kodak Gold, but the cheapest film they were not allowed to sell this product in the supermarkets in the United States. So that's why this business failed. Generally, you see, so they know how to produce. They succeed in production cycle, but in this very case, it wasn't possible for them to sell it. Regulatory policies. In some cases, um, government or some laws have some policies. For example, if speaking about notary business, I'm not sure, but in Ukraine there is no more than one notary to, as I remember, to 50,000 people. So it's not possible to open a new notary business in Kharkov. Only it is possible only after somebody from the industry decided to quit. Only after these possibilities it is possible to open to become a notary. Some international trade restrictions. You know that even before this unpleasant situation in 2014, Russia began some international trade restriction from Ukrainian milk products. So they decided that it's not possible to uh, buy some milk products from Ukraine. So, for example, we are a Ukrainian firm. We wanted to sell these products in Russia, and it wasn't possible then at that times. How to evaluate entry barriers? You have first of all you have to think about every barrier, and then you have to understand how attractive is your industry. And I propose you to take the same scale from 1 to 5. 1 is, it means that your industry has uh, quite a lot of quite strong barriers to entry. So it's not possible to enter your industry. And 5 means that there are no barriers from other firms. It is rather easy to enter your industry. One more time, it's not my mistake. So if the barriers of entry is very high, it means that it is difficult to enter your industry, and in this very case, the level of this force is 1. And vice versa is if you have no barriers to entry, you have to pay, you have if your industry doesn't have any barriers to entry, it is rather easy to enter it. Yes, and in this very case, the level of this force is rather big. What you should do? Your next task is to prepare 5 forces model, and you have to, when speaking about this very force, I mean only about the force of potential entries, you have to analyze barriers of entry. I think everybody has these barrier of entry resource requirements, because all teams are writing your papers about rather big businesses, so it's rather expensive thing to organize a business. But also you have some other barriers, different, and you shouldn't do like this, like we don't have it, we don't have it. No, you have just to describe all barriers which your company, which your industry has. Thank you for watching. See you.